Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to Hot Topics at 10, or a little bit late. Sorry. Forgive me. Working on some things. Changed up a little bit since we got some new information in, some new news. We also have a guest coming up in about 15 minutes who's going to help us through all of this. So glad that you're here. Good morning, Lemonation. What are you drinking and where are you streaming from? Let's get some of you in here. Talk hard, says Norman Sawards. I love all the greens. You guys know what the greens mean, right? The greens mean that these folks are members. You're members of the channel. And I'm so grateful to you for being members of the channel. Oh, by the way, I just realized I had this is from years ago for my appearance on the Stephen Colbert show. Good morning, Lemonation, says Estella W. Thank you very much. Talk hard, Norman Sawards. Northern Tier FVP on the line. Here we go, Nappy Chow. You guys, I love. Hey, Lemonation, says Tanja. Thank you. I like the mug. I just dropped my phone. So look, I'm so grateful that you're all here. And there we go. I think I muted for a second there. But anyways, let's see where you're calling from. Boise, Diane Cox. Wow. Detroit, drinking coffee from Texas, says Janet Davis, streaming from Montevideo. Is that right? Montevideo. Daryl Black. Look at all of the greens. Wow, you guys. Portland. I'm so glad. Portland. A bunch of folks are green. If you are green, it means you're in. It means you're in the money, or at least you put some money into becoming a member, and we certainly appreciate it. Amanda W. is in California. HBW is in the Bronx. Marie Maniscalco is in New Jersey. Linda Schmidt in Kingston, New York. Virginia Thomas, Chicago. Matt F. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, my hometown. What's going on in Baton Rouge? How is Baton Rouge? I'm just going to read all the greens today. Jill C., good morning from Michigan. Yvette Bishop, good morning from Covington, Georgia. I know where that is. Experimental Projects says Ashwagandha tea. Oh, okay, nice. So great. It's so good to have you all on this morning. Again, I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you so much. So you saw what our thumbnail says. It says DEI hires, and we're going to talk about that. The reason that I want to talk about that is because we want to discuss whether these folks are they qualified to be in these positions in the government? Are they qualified to be in these positions in the government? Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm using the right microphone because I don't think that I am. I'm going to try to change it up. Bruce,
we lost you, John. We can't hear you. Nothing.
iPhone microphone.
We got you. Now we got you.
Yeah. So for some reason, the microphone is not working. Remember, we had that issue the other day, and ever since then, for some reason, that microphone is not working. This one does, right? This one works. Nikki, can you hear me?
Yes, this one works.
All right, good. So we're going to talk about these DEI hires, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. They like to talk so much about DEI and diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Republicans do, especially the MAGA folks. And these folks simply are really not qualified for the positions, not to mention their histories and on and on and on, not to mention that. And some of the crazy things that they have done in their past or that they're accused of, including SA and a whole bunch of other things, just not being qualified. And so they love to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that women and minorities are getting jobs that they're not qualified for. And all of a sudden, as it relates to them, for some reason, the rules don't really apply. Now, why is that? Why don't the rules apply for them? Also, let me just tell you what we're going to cover. So welcome to the show, everyone. I think it's fair to say that the second Trump term has already begun. Why am I saying that? By tradition, FBI directors serve 10 years That's a norm designed to insulate the FBI from pressure to serve any president's whims, right? Trump destroyed that norm in 2017. Remember, he fired James Comey. He destroyed it once again yesterday by bullying a lifelong Republican, Christopher Wray, into resigning. Contrary to what Trump may claim, Wray was no member of the deep state. As a matter of fact, he's a Republican. In fact, Trump hired him himself. But Wray proved unable to meet Trump's expectations for the job, which are, number one, permit Trump and his allies to violate the law with impunity, and two, investigate anybody who interferes with him. And I think 0.1, even before that, is you have to have complete and utter loyalty and devotion to Donald Trump. For them, DEI equals not a white cis man. Well, there you go. So now it appears that we're going to be left with a radical, I want to call him, he's like a lunatic. He's crazy. He's a DEI hire, and it's Kash Patel. So we're going to go through their experience and talk about all of these folks who are there, and whether or not the folks who are up on the hill who are supposed to be standing guard, the bulwark between, sanity, the rule of law, democracy, all of those things, if all those senators that you thought were going to stand up for that, if they're going to do it. If they're going to do it. We shall see if they're going to do it. Okay, before we get to that, let's talk about Biden, because I want to get this out of the way, and then we'll talk about the DEI hires. Did you guys hear what President Biden did? President Biden is commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 people, pardoning 39 convicted nonviolent crimes, who were convicted of nonviolent crimes, the largest grant of clemency by an American president in a single day. That's what the White House announced in a statement on Thursday. Can you believe that? The largest. The commutations, affect mostly those who had been released from prison and placed in home confinement during the coronavirus pandemic. The people who received pardons were convicted of nonviolent crimes, including possession of marijuana. Remember, we had been saying that there were people who were sitting in jail now for possessing marijuana. And since the president had pardoned his son, Hunter, that perhaps the president should start adding some clemencies or pardons or commutations for people who were sitting in jail for marijuana possessions and then other nonviolent crimes. It appears he's doing that. I believe that this is only just the beginning as it relates to that. I think it's just the beginning, and he's going to do more. And he may set record pardons. Good for Biden, says Winky Campbell. I agree. A pardon wipes out a conviction, while a commutation leaves the guilty verdict intact but reduces some or all of the punishment. The announcement came 2 weeks after Mr. Biden issued a pardon for his son, Hunter, who had been convicted of gun possession and income tax evasion. That decision was harshly criticized by both Republicans and Democrats because Mr. Biden had long ruled out clemency for his son. That's out of the way. A record number of clemencies for President Joe Biden, just beginning his pardon work. All right? So there's going to be a lot to come. So let's talk about the DEI hires now, shall we? You want to get to that? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Are these DEI hires, are they diversity, equity, and inclusion as would be defined traditionally with diversity? If not traditionally, if you want to define diversity, equity, and inclusion the way that the Trumpers or the MAGA folks or the Republicans define it, is like people who are not qualified for jobs, basically is what they're saying. They tend to equate that term with minorities, right? Black people, brown people, women, right? This is a DEI hire. You are spot on, says August de Winter. Tell me, if you think I'm wrong, you tell me. Linda Furker says, yes, DEI. DEI, as defined, I want to get this correctly here. I want to be precise with this. DEI, as defined by Republicans, or at least MAGA folks, are folks who don't understand exactly what diversity, equity, and inclusion means. DEI, as defined by people who want to make it a pejorative. Trump is a DEI hire, says Matt F. I agree 100%. To be funny, I call them DEI hires too. But I think It waters down the real purpose of DEI hires. Listen, to Mama, don't get me wrong. I'm saying as defined by them, which that's how they wrongly define it. When it doesn't include, as someone said, someone they believe, if you are a MAGA person, but most of all, you have to be a white cis male or a white woman who follows the entire MAGA things. Happy says the fact that the U.S. appears to be so unstable to everyone everyone paying attention at this point, I will trust in the Lord and not the government officials. Unbelievable. Leaning on the Lord. Yeah, I believe that is true. I believe that is true. So here's the thing. So when Donald Trump hired Christopher Wray to lead the FBI back in 2017, the two were on really good terms. Remember, he fired James Comey so he could hire Christopher Wray. At the time, Trump said that Wray would serve his country as a fierce guardian of the law and model of integrity. Wray did seek to avoid turbulence with the White House and other lawmakers, giving detailed briefings on Capitol Hill and making reforms to the Bureau in response to missteps in the Trump-Russia probe. Okay, this was all after the whole, he hired him, Trump-Russia probe, blah, 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 right? Got rid of James Comey. And then all of a sudden, because Christopher Wray turned out not to be a sycophant, not to be a total suck-up, a total pick-me, now Donald Trump wants to fire him and he wants to hire someone who is a pick-me, someone who goes beyond the norms, and that is Kash Patel. This is Christopher Wray making his announcement.
After weeks of careful thought, I've decided the right thing for the Bureau is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. My goal is to keep the focus on our mission, on the indispensable work each of you is doing every single day. And in my view, this is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray while reinforcing the values and principles that are so important in how we do our work. Now, it should go without saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways. This is not easy for me. I love this place. I love our mission, and I love our people. But my focus is, and always has been, on us and on doing what's right for the FBI.
Okay. Let's talk about this and why we say it's a DEI hire, okay? I just want to give you, this is Christopher Wray's resume. When you look at all of the people who Donald Trump has hired, we're going to compare and contrast resumes here, okay? Christopher Wray, New York City, was born in New York City. He's a graduate of Vanderbilt University, an Ivy, Yale Law School, an Ivy. He was a lawyer at a big law firm in New York City. He attended a private Buckley School in New York City, a boarding school. After graduating law school, he was a law clerk for Judge Michael Ludig. You've heard of him, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 4th District, 1992 to 1993. Then he entered private practice with a law firm, King and Spalding. He joined the government in 1997 and as an assistant United States attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. In 2001, he moved to the Justice Department as an associate deputy attorney general and principal associate deputy attorney general. In 2003, George Bush nominated Wray to be the 33rd Assistant Attorney General in charge of the criminal division of the Justice Department, unanimously confirmed by the Senate on September of 2023. He was Assistant Attorney General from 2003, not 2023. He was Assistant Attorney General from 2003 to 2005, working under Deputy Attorney General James Comey. While heading the criminal division, Wray oversaw prominent fraud investigations, including Enron. 2004, the Justice Department issued a finding of Bush's administration warrantless domestic surveillance program under the TSP program. It's unconstitutional. He worked along with Robert Mueller and Comey He announced that he would resign from his post then. In 2005, he received the Edmund J. Randolph Award. And on and on and on. Okay? So accomplishments there. He has accomplishments there. Now, Kash Patel, that is the person that Donald Trump wants to replace Christopher Wray with. By the way, Christopher Wray was in the middle of he had a 10 years. They have a 10-year term. He was 7 years into that 10-year term. Donald Trump wanted him to resign. He wanted to appoint Kash Patel. Christopher Wray initially said that he would not do it. Now he is saying he is doing it. Okay? Thank you, Tammy Australing. We appreciate you becoming a member. Okay? Now, we have
John,
Dave.
we have Dave here.
Yes, got it. Thank you. We'll get Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you, sir?
Good, Don. Good to be with you.
Hi. Dave, I was just going through the resume of the folks, and I'm calling it, I don't know if you want to call it, a lot of these folks, I believe, as defined by MAGA folks and Republicans, are DEI hires because a lot of them are not qualified for their positions. And we're going over Kash Patel. I was just on Christopher Wray, who is highly qualified, who served in numerous positions in the government, comparing and contrasting him to Kash Patel, who, in my estimation, I do not believe, maybe you disagree, does not have the qualifications to be FBI director, if not for his resume, but also because he is saying that he is going to try to go up against and political opponents. What do you say about that?
Don, the reason why Kash Patel is being appointed is purely for loyalty. Just ask the head of the IRS, the guy who's appointed there, who doesn't even have a college degree and I think is an auctioneer. It's all about loyalty to the boss. So we shouldn't be surprised. Trump has broken all the norms, all the rules. And when it comes to the FBI, it can be dangerous because you're talking about the ability to deprive someone of their freedom. And that is the ultimate power of government. And in the wrong hands, it can be greatly and grossly misused where lives could be destroyed. I must say this, I do hold out a little bit of hope in that Pam Bondi, someone I know, is still someone who's tethered to the rule of law. And even though you may have investigations and you may have pressure from Patel and Trump to walk out all enemies in handcuffs, I really believe that Pam Bondi will not knowingly violate the law to do retribution on behalf of her boss.
Dave Ehrenberg joins us now. Dave Ehrenberg is the state attorney for Palm Beach County and Florida, and a former member of the Florida Senate. So, look, again, I just to be the director of the FBI, one would think that you'd have to have more. And I'm just starting with that position, and I'll move on to others, Dave. One would think that you'd have to have more heft in your resume. We were also talking about the director of national intelligence, right? James Clapper, a very experienced man as well. And now you have what? Someone who is, again, not qualified, who could be the director of national intelligence.
Well, I get it, and I'm concerned as well with people who don't have the basic qualifications. Normally, in a normal time, you would have the Senate reject these nominations. But there's one thing that we've learned, Don, is that Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. And you cannot expect the Republicans in the Senate to be our guardrail to save democracy. Only the people could do that, and the people voted for the other guy.
Dave, I want to play. This is Kash Patel reacting to Christopher Wray's resignation. Watch.
Mr. Patel, Christopher Wray just announced he's resigning. What's your reaction?
We look forward to a very smooth transition, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
Are you going to be seeking retribution against Donald Trump's political opponents, sir?
Sorry, what's your reaction to Wray's resignation? We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
Have you talked to President-elect Trump? He just issued a statement on Truth Social supporting you once again and saying this is a great day. Any response to the president?
I'll block the hallway to the side, to the side.
We look forward to a very smooth transition, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
Do you think it was smart for him to resign, Mr. Patel? Thank you all. Have a great day. I'm looking forward to my meeting with Senator Trump.
Thank you.
So obviously, Dave, obviously that's very rehearsed and very practiced. He is not moving off the talking points. Someone said, "This is all you say." We're looking forward to a smooth transition, and we will be ready to go on day one.
Yes, he was told to bite your tongue until after confirmation. And what's interesting is that Kash's words tell us what he plans to do. He said not only will he go after Trump's enemies in government, he's going to go after journalists. So you may want to make a contingency plan at Gitmo, Don, because he really is going to be Trump's retribution. Now, he's only able to act, though, as long as the Attorney General can support his activities. So that's why it's not like he's going to be totally unrestrained. He does have some restrictions around him, but yes, Kash Patel is being appointed for one reason only, to dismantle the so-called deep state within the FBI and to take on Trump's enemies. He is going to be Trump's retribution.
So, Dave, you're saying that he doesn't, you don't believe he has any real power without the Attorney General, which would be Pam Bondi?
Well, he still has power. There's a saying in my business, Don, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. So yeah, they can make life really bad for people. They could raid their homes. They could arrest them. They could force them into bankruptcy with huge legal bills. They could put pressure on them to speak up and sell other people out, even if they've done nothing wrong. So there's a lot of power that the FBI director has. But as far as incarcerating someone, no, that will have to be with the approval of Pam Bondi. And even then, there are still guardrails in place. Look what John Durham tried to do. We've been down this road before with these politicized investigations. John Durham investigated the investigators, and what happened? He got quick acquittals. It blew up in his face. He was humiliated. So is that going to be the future for these guys? I don't know. But there are still built-in guardrails in the criminal justice system in place to prevent out-of-control prosecutors and FBI directors. The problem is they could do a lot of damage in the meantime.
Chris Olson, one of our subscribers, said, "What happened to the FBI? It's supposed to be independent, Dave."
Yeah, but that's the pre-Trump world. If we wanted an independent Department of Justice, if we wanted an independent FBI, we would have voted for Kamala Harris. I know a lot of us did, but the public decided they didn't care if the FBI was going to be Donald Trump's personal lawyers. I mean, one thing you have to say, Don, is that Trump didn't conceal this. He has said that he wants his FBI director to be loyal to him. He wants his attorney general to be like Roy Cohn, to be his own personal defense lawyer. And so if you wanted another Merrick Garland as attorney general, you would have voted for Kamala Harris, but she didn't win. So at least we shouldn't be surprised at what Trump's doing. We should be concerned, clearly. And if Kash Patel gets confirmed, yeah, I do think he has the potential of really wreaking havoc within the FBI.
Dave, I want to play. This is Dan Goldman on Kash Patel. He's on News Nation discussing it with my friend Dan. Well, I can't think of Dan's last name. Over on Dan Abrams over on News Nation, talking about Christopher Wray's withdrawal and some of the lies about why he wanted Christopher Wray to resign and to appoint Kash Patel. Here it is. Watch. It's a bit long, but I want everybody to pay attention.
Of the news about Chris Wray and some of the comments that I made.
Well, I think you're spot on, Dan, and you really raise a critical issue, which is the Republican attacks led by Donald Trump, including his statement today, are absolutely fallacious. They are completely unfounded and baseless, and they have no basis in reality. I mean, even just take, for example, that in Donald Trump's statement, he accused the FBI of impeaching him. The FBI has nothing to do with impeachment. That's Congress. He says that the search of Mar-a-Lago was unjustified. You did an excellent job of explaining all of the efforts that Donald Trump went to obstruct justice and to hold on to classified information. Not to mention, a judge signed off on that search warrant, saying there was probable cause. Chris Wray has been a terrific FBI director under very difficult circumstances, appointed by Donald Trump,
and has resisted all these calls, all these accusations of the weaponization of the FBI. And the reason why they are making these accusations, Dan, is to undermine the institution of the FBI. And that is exactly what has happened, as you cite all those Democrats who are saying that criminal charges are political. That is just not the way Chris Wray operated the FBI. And this is all done by Donald Trump in an effort to make himself look better. And that's everything that is going on with Chris Wray's resignation and Kash Patel's appointment.
All right, let me take Donald Trump out of this for a moment, because it does seem suddenly Democrats love the FBI, right? And, you know, that wasn't always the case. And Democrats aren't particularly good in a lot of cases in supporting law enforcement in general. Why do you think it is that Democrats seem to be defending the FBI in particular, and not as much when it comes to local law enforcement?
Well, I'll speak for myself here as a federal prosecutor in the Department of Justice for 10 years who worked hand in glove with the FBI. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the nonpartisan, apolitical work that the FBI does.
That is, I believe, it nothing to do with that. I don't necessarily believe that Democrats don't care about law and order and don't support that. I mean, that's, you know, that whole idea of, defunding the police was for a very small, very left-wing faction of the Democratic Party. Okay, but anyway, what do you make of what Dan Goldman said, Dave, when he talked about this? You said this was about complete loyalty. Again, why on earth would Donald Trump make up lies about Christopher Wray in order to get rid of him, to install Kash Patel?
Because Chris Wray is an institutionalist. Chris Wray was appointed by Trump, but has not been loyal to Trump. In fact, after the first assassination attempt, Chris Wray put some doubt about whether Trump was hit by a bullet, and that really upset Trump. You know, that's like the third rail, and that just added to Trump's distrust and dislike of Wray. And so for Trump, it's about getting someone he can count on, who will have his back and will do anything he wants him to do. And that's really a shame, because there is a difference between the parties. Dan Goldman is right. Even though Democrats in the past have not been associated with law enforcement, it's only Trump that continues to sow doubt on our institutions, our law enforcement officials, especially federal law enforcement. And ironically, he still received a large portion of the law enforcement vote in November. So it just tells you how topsy-turvy the political world we live in is.
Yeah. Let's talk about Pete Hegseth. Okay, so you think Kash Patel, you think he's going to go through, by the way? You think he'll be?
I do, but, you know, Dan Goldman and I disagree on that. We were doing an interview earlier today, and he and I are on opposite sides of that one. He thinks that the Senate will reject Kash Patel. I actually don't have that much faith in the Republicans in the Senate. No one's ever lost money betting against the Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah. Dave, real quickly, because I know that you have to go and do other things. I just want to ask you, Pete Hegseth has also, was in hot water. It's shocking to most people in this country, I believe, that someone who is a Fox News weekend morning anchor, who did serve in the military, but has all of these allegations against him. We don't need to name them. Everyone already knows that he will probably, it looks like, that these senators are acquiescing, like Susan Collins, right, on Capitol Hill. You think he will be confirmed now? And what do you make of what's happening with him?
I think probably he will be confirmed. You see how Joni Ernst stood up against him, because Hegseth has been someone who has been very much against.
But Joni Ernst seems to be acquiescing now.
Correct. She originally was against him because she supports women in combat. I mean, she has personal experience there, and yet Hegseth is against it. But after she got attacked by the ultra MAGA, she is back down. And that is why I believe that most or all of Trump's remaining picks will get confirmed. The only reason that I would doubt Hegseth, and I don't doubt it, but the only hesitation I have is that I did believe there was a deal cut to replace Hegseth with Ron DeSantis, and in turn put Laura Trump, Trump's daughter-in-law, as the U.S. Senator in Florida. I thought that deal had been cut, but it means Hegseth needs to step aside. And now it looks like he is doing a little better. He has steadied the ship, so that deal may not come to fruition.
That it's really unbelievable. It is really unbelievable. I mean, and you would know Florida politics. And I think that deal, we did report on that deal, but it looks like Pete Hegseth may be going through, as you said, Joni Ernst and Susan Collins, who, have been calling for FBI background checks, right, Dave? And that may signal something, depending on the FBI background check. But is that just giving them, before I let you go, information both of them to be able to vote for Pete Hegseth's confirmation?
Yeah, what I think, Don, is happening is that the MAGA folks are rallying around Hegseth. His buddies within the ultra MAGA world have his back. And I do think that it looks like he's probably going to be confirmed. Ron DeSantis will be left out in the cold if that happens.
Dave Ehrenberg, thank you. Mr. Palm Beach County, I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you soon, okay, my friend?
Thank you, my friend. See you soon.
Thank you so much. Dave Ehrenberg joining us. Let's get back to this. Let's talk more about Pete Hegseth, right? Pete Hegseth met with Susan Collins yesterday. Here he is after that meeting, seeming very confident. Watch.
Right here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How do you characterize this meeting?
Excuse us,
It was a great
excuse
meeting.
us.
It was a great meeting. Have an immense amount of respect.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. It was a great meeting with Senator Collins. And again, at office after office, having the opportunity to spend time with these senators who have invested their careers in ensuring that our warfighters get what they need has been an amazing educational process. And Senator Collins, like her colleagues before her, reiterated that. And it was a wonderful conversation. We focused on what needs to be done to make sure this Pentagon is focused on warfighting and lethality, and we look forward to staying in touch with her.
Did you bring the chair of the Appropriations Committee?
I'm certainly not going to assume anything about where the senator stands. This is a process that we respect and appreciate, and we hope through time, overall, when we get through that committee and to the floor, that we can earn her support. But it's about earning support in this process, in ongoing conversations, and we're doing this for the warfighters, and I'm grateful to President Trump.
Pete, do you view this as a little more of a challenge?
That was Pete Hegseth, the DEI hire to head up to be defense secretary. I got to tell you, I'm flabbergasted by not only the backgrounds of these folks. I just think about the hypocrisy here, okay? And just think about, let's do a compare and contrast, which is what I wanted to do today. We had Christopher Wray, who has all of that experience, who is a traditional conservative Republican and institutionalist, as Dave Ehrenberg said, with a mile-long resume. And then you have Kash Patel, who is unhinged, who says that he is vowing to go after political opponents on tape, who is going to be, if confirmed, and it looks like he is, he's going to be head of the Federal Bureau of Investigations in this country. It's not like, you don't like them. They're not qualified. These folks are the Republican version of diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you define it the way that they do. Just simply not qualified. And I'm just sitting here watching it as I was watching him, leave the offices. And I was like, someone like that, just think about it. Someone like that in the halls, in the Capitol, in the halls of Congress, in the halls in the Senate, the halls of the Capitol, and the reverence that we have for it, and how we hold these folks to such high esteem, at least we have in the past. This is a fucking shit show. I have no words for it. except for how has America, and when I say we, I don't mean us specifically, but I mean America collectively, how have we how have we allowed these folks to be normalized so much? To allow an insurrectionist, an adjudicated assaulter, someone who's not a good businessman, someone who lies about even his own record as president. How have we allowed that person to ascend to the highest office in the land? Now think about it. Think about how much folks said about, let's just put it in terms of a woman, and then I'll do it in terms of a minority. In terms of a woman who initially would not go along with Donald Trump's BS, but then sort of just threw herself at the mercy of the court and groveled and, on her knees, oh, please pick me, pick me, pick me. Let's think about what they did to Nikki Haley, because she wasn't a traditional MAGA person. Yet someone like that, by the way, will do anything and say anything to a total pick me, right? Just think of what they did to her and how you don't hear about her because they're just like, we don't want you. They pushed her out. Just think about how have folks like that been normalized in this country? So that was the person that folks thought would, okay, this country is not going to pick Donald Trump. They're going to pick someone who is more of a traditional sort of Republican like her, and they didn't. They proved that that's not what they want. It's not that they don't want a woman, by the way. They just don't. They want daddy, and they want someone who is going to condone and speak for their worst behaviors as human being. You're right, Ms. Akimo 08. They don't care. They're not like us. White fear is real. That is part of it. It is. It is. And so you have this man, as he was sitting there talking, loving it. He's like, oh, this is going to happen. I'm going to be the defense secretary. When you think about all of the shit they gave Lloyd Austin for whatever reason, whether it was just neglected or not knowing the policies or not wanting people to know about his personal health information, upset because he didn't notify the president. If you look at when he got sick, look at his resume. Look at how many hoops he had to jump through and all of the accomplishments that the things that he had to achieve in order to become the defense secretary as a man of color. So you got Pete Hegseth, you've got Lloyd Austin. Look at what Lloyd Austin had to do. Lloyd Austin, I hope I said Lloyd Austin in the beginning. Look at what Lloyd Austin had to do to become the defense secretary, who he had to be, how old he had to be, how long it took him to get there. And then you have Pete Hegseth, who's not even on the same thing. It's not even, those two people should not even be in the same room. They should not even be in the same conversation. But somehow we have allowed this to become normal. Have we allowed this to become, as the subscriber who was up there before, is it because of white fear that they want to put these sort of not even mediocre white men or mediocre MAGA folks in place? Is that what's happening here? Pete Hegseth and Lloyd Austin should not even be sitting at the same table. Pete Hegseth should be, yes, sir, Mr. Austin, in the sense that he is a superior in the armed forces of which both men served. Pete Hegseth should be taking orders from someone like Lloyd Austin and should have reverence and respect for someone like that. I am so disgusted. This is not the America I grew up in, What happened to patriotism? Traitors, liars, SA men, disrespecting fellow Americans. We must fight this shit show, says Demetrius Cephas. Yeah, you're right. So then you have someone like that. And then you have Christopher Wray, again, who is a Republican, who has been a straight shooter. Kash Patel should not even be in the same room with Christopher Wray. Let's just be honest. Kash Patel should be answering Christopher Wray's phones. He should be answering the phones saying, FBI, sorry, Director Wray is not in right now. May I take a message? Yet he is going to be. And you know, he shouldn't even be saying that he is going to retaliate against enemies or whatever. He should not even be in the government, because that's not how the government should operate. Let's just be honest. I'm tired of doing this. And I think Dan Goldman is exactly 100% right. So I showed you, if we get back to Pete Hegseth, I showed you what Hegseth said, right? And the reason that he was so confident, and when he came out of the room, it's because of, you guys know Susan Collins, right? I'm going to write a strongly word response. I'm very strong feelings about it. I'm so upset. Remember her, Donald Trump, she didn't vote for impeachment because she believed Donald Trump had learned his lesson. Man, these government folks, man, these people, they will do anything to stay in power and stay in office. So, Susan Collins, the Susan Collins that spoke out so strongly against Brett Kavanaugh when he was, right, and then all of a sudden became the measure and the excuse for people to go ahead and support him, because she's like, I can't do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm really concerned about this. This is very concerning. I have very strong feelings about it. And then she had a press conference and said, this is why I'm supporting him. None of this other shit matters. It appears that Susan Collins is Susan Collinsing again. Here she is after the Hegseth meeting.
Good morning, Senator. What do you think? Is Pete Hegseth someone you can support?
Well, first, let me say that I had a good
Can we pause, please?
discussion that last.
Can we pause that, please? Back it up to just when the reporter asks her. You know there's trouble, or that she is going to, as we say, why are you lollygagging? And she's going to make excuses. Can you support Pete Hegseth? The correct response to that would be yes or no. Or, I have not made a decision. I want to see what the FBI background check brings to light, and I want to have proper hearings. I had a good conversation with him. We had a very in-depth conversation, but at this point, I can't say yes or no. I mean, that would have been the direct thing to say. She may go on to say that, I'm not sure. But directly, when the reporter said, can you support or not support? Let's put her question in again and watch how she obfuscates here. And it leads you to believe it's an indication, a foreshadowing of what Susan Collins is going to do. She's going to Susan Collins. Watch, mark my words.
Good morning, Senator. What do you think? Is Pete Hegseth someone you can support?
Well, first, let me say that I had a good substantive discussion that lasted more than an hour. We covered a wide range of topics, ranging from defense procurement reforms to the role of women in the military, sexual assault in the military, Ukraine, NATO, a wide range of issues. I obviously always wait until we have an FBI background check, and one is underway in the case of Mr. Hegseth, and I wait to see the committee hearing before reaching a final decision.
What is your level of skepticism?
So she did get around to it, like I said, but it wouldn't it have been much easier to say that afterwards? Just hey, look, I don't know. A hearing and the FBI background check. Now, let me just tell you this. So I don't know at this point, and I think that would be the prudent thing for anyone, any of the senators, any of us to do, is to wait on those things, and we should not be making up our minds. And I don't think our colleagues should be out here saying, yes, I support anyone, or no, I don't support anyone. I think they should wait. So it's a yes, says M. Moy. Yeah, I guess. She's definitely a joke, says, wasting our time, says Asaph. Yeah. The fraudulent, I wouldn't call her a battle axe, but you're calling her that thing. Yeah. She talks to the people like they're children, says Ashanti. Yes, that's what it is. Guys, you got to start voting some of these people out. Even if they're just because they are not doing what they should be doing. Okay, let's move on.
Even if you might vote for him, what is your skepticism?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
I mean, are there problems with military, sexual assault? Are there problems with his positions on Ukraine? Where are the areas that you think are the problem?
Okay, stand by.
We had a good
You
discussion.
knew exactly what the reporter meant when she said, what is your hesitancy? Well, my hesitancy is like, look, you know what my hesitancy is. You're reporters. You know, you're out there reporting the news. I am not immune to what's in the news. Right? I know. My hesitancy is like women in the military, which we discussed. As I said, that's my initial hesitancy. Women, he said, women are not capable of combat. That's concerning to me as a woman. We have women who serve valiantly and nobly all across the world every single day in the United States military. That's concerning to me. It's also concerning that there are these allegations about him abusing women. There are these allegations about him abusing alcohol. There are allegations about his behavior. Now, I don't know if any of that is true. And that is the point of these hearings. I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and say, blah, blah, that I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. She can't do that because she's afraid of Donald Trump. She can't do that because she doesn't have a backbone. Where's the lie? Am I lying? That's why she can't do it. So she has to keep beating around the bush, pretending that she's concerned and that she's going to do something when in the end, she's going to go, look, I'm going to tell you what it is. Why? And you guys watch. Look, these allegations have not been proven true. They decided not to investigate, and we should not be denying people positions or jobs or whatever opportunities because just based on unproven allegations. That's going to be one. And then number two is he clarified how he felt about women not being able to serve in the military. And I find his response and his promises, I believe that he will stick to them and that he has changed as it relates to that. As far as the behavior, these are all accusations about alcoholism and they're unproven, and it's just people saying things. Mark my words. Joni Ernst, very similar. Am I lying? That is what is going to happen here. So why are we playing out the inevitable, right? Why are we just letting this go, right? Okay, keep going. Susan Collins. Is that the end of Susan Collins? Is that the end of her soundbite? Yes?
Going to go into every question I asked, although I asked virtually every question under the sun.
So did you press him on the allegations against him? I
pressed him on both his position on military issues as well as the allegations against him. So I don't think there was anything that we did not cover.
Did you
And
ask
then
him
what do you guys
specifically
say?
about his things
Thank
about
you.
women in combat?
We gotta get to the vote. Can he clarify? Thank you guys so much. You guys, thank you.
And what did he say about that?
Thank you.
Okay. That is what's going to happen with that. Okay. So you've got Hegseth, you've got Kash Patel, and then you have Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. So Tulsi Gabbard, I don't believe we have any sound bites. We don't have a Tulsi Gabbard sound bite, right?
No, we do not.
Okay. So Tulsi Gabbard now is going to be in the spotlight. And that is going to be the next thing that is going to come up. And Pete Hegseth, I believe, as they move on, and then folks decide that, okay, well, they are going to probably confirm Tulsi Gabbard. Probably confirm Pete Hegseth and then Kash Patel. Then it is going to be Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard has some issues. Tulsi Gabbard is, well, hang on one second. Let me just tell you that, because I don't want to speak out of turn here. Tulsi Gabbard is being nominated, obviously, for Director of National Intelligence. Now, do you think that the Director of National Intelligence, think about national intelligence. Think about the experience that you have to be the Director of National Intelligence. Again, diversity, equity, and inclusion hire, DEI hire. Tulsi Gabbard has been accused of amplifying Russian propaganda throughout her career. She served in the Hawaii Army National Guard and was deployed to Iraq with a medical unit, has long criticized U.S. foreign policy as imperial and heavy-handed. Remember, she was a Democrat. I'm not sure of which she is now. Maybe she's a registered Republican. I'm not exactly sure. During her 2020 presidential bid, Russian state propaganda often portrayed Gabbard favorably, while it denigrated the other Democratic candidates, including Joe Biden. In 2017, Gabbard said that she was skeptical that Syria was behind a chemical weapons attack that killed dozens of people in Syria. But U.S. intelligence agencies, the United Nations, and organizations for the prohibition of chemical weapons all concluded that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime was behind the attack. As Director of National Intelligence, a position created in the wake of September 11th, the 2001 terror attacks, Gabbard would oversee 18 intelligence agencies with a budget of about $70 billion and serve as the principal advisor to the president on intelligence matters. She would first need to be confirmed by the Senate, where Republicans will hold the majority starting in January. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't even know what else to say about this. When you think about the resume that these folks should have, and they don't. They do not. They do not. Let me just put this up, because does this even matter anymore? Do you guys read magazines anymore? Now, I know some of the people over at Time Magazine. I know some of the people over at Time Magazine, and I really like them, but I am just, I don't know what they're doing right now. Do you guys read Time Magazine? Do magazines even matter anymore? I have not picked up a Time Magazine or a Newsweek magazine or any of that. And I'm not saying it just because I haven't. I don't. And do you guys remember when folks used to, like, it was a big deal to read magazines? You remember when Donald Trump when he had the fake Time magazines with him as Person of the Year, him being on the cover of Time Magazine? And people would laugh at him because that's what he always wanted, right? I don't think it matters anymore. I was talking to someone who I really respect, and someone who was in, who served, who really ran 2 major news organizations, that said it doesn't matter anymore. Is not sure even why they do this whole Person of the Year, or not even what, and why. Is it still like a magazine that is, can you buy it? Is it delivered? Like what is offered? I like newspapers, not so much magazines, says Mama Bird. Well, take a look at this. Donald Trump is Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Now, if they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, they would have made someone who, and my God, I'm sure he loves this, right? If they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, I don't know, they could have done it with any person. People who they could have done it to someone who actually stood for democracy, who stands for democracy in the country. Now, you think about what encompasses Person of the Year. Just because you are elected president of the United States does not mean that you should be Person of the Year. What Time Magazine, what are you doing? Let me ask you, Time Magazine. What do you say to the women who, I guess, still read Time Magazine? Or the women who don't they do like a whole Time 100 thing or something, which, what about the women who are on that list? What about that? I'm sure some of them will had dealt with issues that women have to deal with, like discrimination in the workplace, SA, all kinds of things. You have someone on the cover of your magazine who is an adjudicated assaulter. You have someone who inspired an insurrection. You have someone who, without a doubt, the evidence is there, tried to overturn a free and fair election. You had someone who had multiple criminal counts and found guilty on multiple criminal counts. And you name them Person of the Year? Is this a joke? Did we get something wrong? Did someone scam us? Are we sure about this, producers? There is a convicted felon on the cover of Time Magazine as the Person of the Year. Maybe we're being scammed. Did someone put out a fake tweet or something about this? Imagine what they would do if they put, I don't know, Hunter Biden as Person of the Year. I'm just saying, because Hunter got out of a lot of stuff too because his dad did it. Donald Trump got out of a lot of stuff too because someone else allowed him to. I'm just saying. Hunter didn't even face half of the stuff that Donald Trump did, especially the criminality. Lacey Suter says, why is he Person of the Year? He should be the Felon of the Year. Look, I don't know about that. I just don't think he should be on the cover of Time Magazine as the Person of the Year. What kind of example does that set for the country? Sure, he's the president. He's the president-elect. I will not deny him that. I will not deny that he got the popular vote by a very small margin. I think it was less than 50%. Or just there. No, just under 50%. They're doing it for money and relevance. They'll receive neither. That's what I believe. Thank you, Penn Taxenstein, and thank you for your generous support of independent media. Time Magazine, what? But seriously, I want to know, just beyond that, do you guys read? Look, I remember like folks, you remember everyone would wait for the Vanity Fair to come. I haven't seen Vanity Fair in a long time. The Time Magazine would show up. I remember the Ebony Magazine, the Jet Magazine would come to the house. All of these magazines. What was it? Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, all those, but those were fashion magazines. But that Newsweek, like all of those news magazines. Does that even matter anymore? Is that why they're doing this? Because they want to matter? Because they know that people are going to go, wait, what? And they're going to get clicks. And is that why? Vanessa Escobar, thank you for your support of independent media. Trump's 6 billionaires will commit many financial gain crimes, go to jail for 4 years, misspelling, sorry, there. get pardoned, and leave office as trillionaires. The fleecing of America, says Vanessa Escobar. But back to Time Magazine. What are they doing? Time. This just emboldens him, says Virginia. It's real. So was the H-Man, says Robin Dot. Wow. Okay, everybody. I will leave you with this beautiful cover of Time Magazine and the Person of the Year. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you become a member. We have our first member show a little bit. So make sure you stay tuned for that. When's our first member show, Nikki?
So tonight, we will be releasing a fantastic interview for everyone at 5 o'clock. That will be public for everybody. But after that, we will also have a live show for our Lemon Heads and Lemon Legends. So
yeah, it's just
stay
for them
tuned.
to talk. Can we figure out a way to have them? Let's just figure out a way to have them be as involved as possible. Even
that'll be coming next week when we have the call-ins.
Yeah, we're gonna have call-ins. You guys will call in. Then we're gonna try to put you guys up as we did on election night. Remember, we had all the people on the screen, but we had such technical difficulties we didn't. And by the way, we weren't the only ones that had the technical difficulties. I went over and I did a thing for Amazon. There's all the money in the world. My IFB kept dropping out. Same thing, right? Was happening to a lot of folks that night. Okay. So yeah, we had the folks up on the screen. We had a little Zoom. We could talk. That's what's going to happen for the members. So tonight, after we drop our show, it'll be just the members hanging out, talking. I don't know. Maybe I'll cook something for you. Maybe we'll have a cocktail, right, Nikki? Maybe we'll do a glass of wine.
Yeah, why not?
They can talk about anything. So I'm so excited. Maybe we'll figure out how to send a link to some of the folks who we love, and maybe they can join us. We'll see tonight. Okay.
Well, tonight's for the Lemon Heads and the Lemon Legends, but we will keep everyone posted on the Lemon Legend call-in links. Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys, we'll see you tonight. We are thrilled to have you as one of our watchers. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. And that way you can be notified about all of our new content. There's plenty of it for you. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop more videos at 2 p.m. Eastern and at 5 p.m. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon Nation, of the Lemon community. Members receive access to special community posts, exclusive content, and live shows. So just head right over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.